To BT Talks, episode 13 already. I have the pleasure of having Maria Morris, who is a partner at Knight Frank in Dubai in the Middle East. So I'll let her first introduce herself, who she is, and talk to us about, Dubai, the Middle Eastern real estate market, and a variety of things. So first, I have the pleasure of having Maria that will introduce herself.
Well, thank you for having me, Ben. I can't believe it's episode 13 already. I know we've been trying to do this for some. 13's unlucky for some. I'm hoping this one will be the best one you've done yet. But look, joking aside, it's great to speak to you as always. As you said, great introduction. I'm based in the Middle East. I'm head of residential at Knight Frank here, based in Dubai. And I've been in the region for almost 6 years now. So very much home for me now. Previously lived in the UK, but now Dubai is very much my home.
Very nice. So tell us a little about how you got into real estate, because you were in real estate prior to coming to Dubai, but you were in London or the UK.
Yeah, correct. So I'm showing my age here, but I've been in real estate now for almost 20 years. So previously in the UK, and I used to work on the developer side of the fence originally. So I used to work for what would be our clients now, and now I'm now servicing the clients. So it was a bit of a transition, but I love working at Knight Frank. And clearly our partnership with Douglas Elliman means that we get to work together as well. So, I love working with our US partners and as well as the rest of our global network.
And yeah, I think this is something, very powerful. I love, myself being within Douglas Elliman. I joined Douglas Elliman in November of 2019 here in Miami. I'm licensed both in New York and in Florida, so I can practice in both states. And I've met tremendous people. I went to the Elliman Summit in March, which we were supposed to meet, but with this whole thing going on, we had to pass on that. So hopefully next one. But I got to meet a lot of people within Douglas Elliman Network and Knight Frank, and everybody is fantastic. It's super knowledgeable. You learn things from everyone. You collaborate a lot, and I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And we're present pretty much everywhere in the world, which is great. Can you tell us a little bit, because you're in Dubai now for about 6 years. You also know well the European market, also the US market, but what are the major differences in real estate, in luxury real estate, in the Middle East, Europe, and the US? The way business is done, because I think that's something that a lot of people are interested in knowing about. It's very different in London and the UK than it is in the US, and it can be very different. I can tell you differences between New York and Florida and California. Not that different, because America is America, but it could be also different in Dubai and in different parts of the world, even Australia maybe, even more different. But what are the differences in doing real estate, in selling real estate?
Yes, so I think it's twofold. Using London and Dubai as an example, London is a very mature market. It's a very mature city. It's been through numerous cycles. Whereas Dubai, is still in its infancy somewhat in comparison. We're only around 40, 50 years old. So the real estate market here is still relatively young. But what that means is it's a very fast growing, dynamic market. And whilst its cycles may be shorter, as the years pass by, they're maturing more and more. Whereas London, obviously, the real estate market there, you could almost set your clock by, so I think the maturity of the market is different for sure. But, looking at it from a nationality perspective as well. I mean, when I worked in London, I thought I've sold to pretty much every nationality there was going, it's so cosmopolitan. Yeah. And then you move to somewhere like Dubai, and actually it's completely, it blows London out of the water in terms of the diversity of the buyer group here. Okay. Yeah, we have, I know I use this stat all the time, so people get sick of it, but there's 200 different nationalities that live and work in Dubai. So, at one point I didn't even know there was 200 different nationalities, So, but I think that they're really probably two of the main differences that I've found since I've made the transition to Dubai. But I suppose for you, whilst a lot of the US is very domestic market driven, Miami and Florida is probably the anomaly to that, right?
No, that's what I was actually going to say. I think there's a lot of similarities, with Miami and Dubai. Obviously, they're both cities that have overall, great weather, but and a great lifestyle. But it's also very diverse. We have a lot of people, obviously, from South America that for a long time, from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Venezuela, Mexico, a lot of people from there. And then we have Europeans, from France, Italy, UK, and we have also domestic markets. Now, obviously, with everything that's going on, it's a lot of New Yorkers, people from Boston, Chicago, also a lot of people from California. So it's a very, very diverse place. The first language here is Spanish, probably followed by, I don't know if it's French or Italian or Hebrew. I mean, it's very, very diverse. I think English is after that. So there's a lot of international buyers, and there's a very international culture. It's a very unique city. It's also something that's very similar to Dubai. I think it's a growth city. So the reason Miami is called the Magic City is because it's a growth city, and it grew tremendously fast over the past 10 years. And I assume Dubai also had a tremendous growth over the past few years, because I haven't been to Dubai. I do not know Dubai yet.
Yet, remember? Yeah, I'm on a one-woman crusade to make sure you visit soon, when you can get on a plane.
As soon as I can, I will. It's really a place I want to see and experience. How is the United Emirates and Dubai? Because I think it will be really interesting. Not just real estate, but just how it is to be there, to live there. I won't move to Dubai yet. I'm in Miami. I'm happy here. And I'm developing my business here, and there's a lot going on. So I think it's also important to, find stability. Prior to coming to Miami, I moved a lot, and I think you have to tend to find your place. But, you've been in Dubai for 6 years. You built up relationships with clients, with developers, with architects, with just everybody. So people, and Dubai and Miami are not huge cities. Like you pretty much, like, everybody knows everybody, and you built up, your network. I think it's a little different than places like New York or London. I mean, I was in New York prior to that for many years. I lived in other places like Tel Aviv and Los Angeles, and I got to experience that and got to see the different cultures and way of doing things. But I think that in places like Miami and Dubai, there's a lot of similarities on real estate perspective and city growth perspective, and also just culturally. So I think we're in great places.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. Look, the lifestyle element to both our markets is clearly a driver for the type of buyers that want to come and live here, and that's either as a permanent base or maybe a second or third home. But I think, just to touch on, it's a really important point actually that comes up a lot when I'm asked about Dubai, and you sort of just alluded to it. I think there's always a misconception about Dubai. People have previously seen it as more of a holiday destination, so very short term. They might visit a couple of times a year and then go back to their permanent residence. Whereas over the past 10 years, as you were saying with Miami, Dubai has grown exponentially. But not just in terms of size and scale, but also that transition from more of just a holiday destination into somewhere that people want to call home. So I think that's a real interesting shift in our market that we've seen. And I think it's only a trend that's going to continue and grow even further.
For you can clarify on that, but I think that for foreigners, there is also some advantages of living in Dubai or even buying real estate.
Well, aside from, everyone thinking that because we live in year-round sunshine, we all have the best tans. And, sadly, you can see that I don't get to spend too much time laying out in the sun. But look, I think if you're an international buyer coming into Dubai, your purchase tax is the same as as a national. You know, there's no additional levies on international buyers coming into our markets, which I think is hugely, you know, interesting for people when they're looking, especially now, given the changes that we've sort of all gone through the current situation. People are looking at where they want that next base, and those low kind of entry costs are hugely attractive when you compare it to some other markets around the world. So yeah, I think, look, Dubai is a very easy city to make the move to make the transition to. When I first came here, you know, people used to say to me, oh my God, you need to learn Arabic. You know, what's it going to be like living in the Middle East? And I honestly can say, hand on heart, it is head and shoulders above one of the most cosmopolitan cities I've ever visited, anywhere in the world.
And I think I know well Israel, but I think that in the Middle East, there's a hospitality that there is, I think, nowhere else. So, you know, people are very nice and warm and welcoming, which is really interesting. And the other thing is, I think that from what I've seen is Dubai is very business friendly. So I see a lot of entrepreneurs or, you know, people, you know, coming from different companies establishing themselves in Dubai because it's business friendly compared to some other countries in Europe or even other places, you know, in the US where it's less business friendly, you know. And again, that's a similarity with South Florida, Miami, you know, Dubai, where South Florida is actually really business friendly. And there's a lot of people coming to settle here, obviously for tax purposes, and you get also the lifestyle and also because of the location. So it's very easy to travel, you know, whether you're going to New York, South America, or even Europe.
Yeah, I think that also, you know, the ease of doing business here is, you know, it's such an attractor for people coming in for sure. But I think as well, what you've just mentioned, the connectivity angle, you know, Dubai is a global gateway hub.
Yep.
You know, and we're very fortunate that we, you know, have a fantastic airline, and that level of connectivity to every part of the world, really, I think has put Dubai on a different stage over the last 5 to 10 years. And I think as well, you know, we're having some kind of love in here about, you know, Miami and Dubai, but you know, I certainly know I came over to Miami for a business trip a couple of years ago. We're doing some events there with you guys. And I flew into New York and then down to Miami because I had to be in New York first. But then I didn't even realize, I think we'd just opened direct flights from Fort Lauderdale straight to Dubai. I was like, oh, this is to, you know, worry about flying back to New York to get over here. So, you know, that the level of connectivity, I think, is really important in the growth of our market.
Just to put a point on that, so Fort Lauderdale is the other airport here in South Florida, which is great. And it's one of the, you know, it's close also to one of our projects we have, which is the Four Seasons in Fort Lauderdale, which is a fantastic project. And
I went to see it. Well, I say I went to see it. I went to see the sales suite at the time. I don't think construction had even started, but it looked like it was going to be amazing, and it's selling really well, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 60 or 65% sold, and it's, you know, in construction right now. I believe it's going to be done sometime in 2021, 2022, I think. But it's a fantastic project, and again, Fort Lauderdale is more up north, but it's developing tremendously as well. Some people, you know, don't want to be Miami. Some don't want to be Boca, Palm Beach. So they decide, you know, Fort Lauderdale. There's beautiful beaches. There's a lot of things developing around there, but there's also, you know, a private airport. There's the Fort Lauderdale airport. There's a lot of things. And again, that keeps us all connected. So, you know, I mean, again, we have this whole, I don't know if I should say pandemic, but this whole COVID that kind of like affected all of us, travel-wise and just lifestyle-wise. So people are rethinking the way they're doing things. Luckily, you know, we're all connected. We have the internet, we have Zoom, we have social media, we have all these different platforms, which are game changers. I think, you know, they are allowing us to do a lot of different things, especially in our business. And again, I think we are lucky. It's a very tough business what we're doing, I think. And I tell people, you know, how hard we work and the different things we're doing and how it works. But we're lucky at this time that wherever you are in the world, that home has become one of the most important, things for people, whether it's a house or a condo. They're rethinking their way, and even now developers in Miami are, rethinking the way they're developing their products with, incredible home offices and, places for kids, because obviously kids are now home or homeschooled. The fitness areas, everything is rethinked after everything that went by. I don't believe that, and I hope so, like everybody's gonna, now work from home all the time, because we need that human element and, be in a, if I can say, office environment, at least a little bit. I think it's great to work from home. You can be very productive, and it depends of your environment, but you do need that element of working with people. Obviously, it has to be safe now with everything that's going on, but it's important. And they're doing a lot, especially I know here in downtown Miami, they're developing a lot of new buildings with the future of the office, and places like the Creative HQ, which is going to be fantastic. So they're doing a lot. They're adapting.
And I think that's I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to say this actually, because it's not public knowledge just yet, but we're about to launch a new research report that we've just put together. I've just seen the final draft of it earlier today, and it's a report that we actually published a few years ago, and we thought now was the perfect time to actually update it. We don't, it's not like our other flagship reports where we do it annually. And it's actually titled the Global Development Report. And the reason we thought we should resurrect it and make it current is because, as you alluded to, Ben, that now more so than ever, people are rethinking how they want to use their space. And developers, our clients here or in our other centers across the world, are really now having to adjust to that new normal. What do things look like going forward? And where it used to be decisions as to what amenities they put in, whether it is a golf simulator or a cinema room, now it's actually how are people going to use this space, right? And that work-life balance is a key component of that. I mean, look at us. We're both at home doing this interview. And I was in the office earlier this morning, and then I came back home this afternoon to finish a few bits off and to do this interview. So I think that's a case in point. People need that flexibility, that agility, and ultimately, we as their real estate advisors, whether it's on behalf of buyers or our developer clients, we really need to be reviewing and looking at how people want to use their space going forward. So I think that's going to be a really big shift in our roles, and how we advise going forward.
And so I don't know Dubai. I know there's obviously a lot of luxury condos. There's also a lot of villas from what I've seen. Do you see a shift in people looking to buy or lease or move into villas or houses, or people are still, because I think it's a lifestyle choice. I tell people, again, it's great to have a house. There's advantages and inconvenient things, but condos also, even with all that's going on, offer a lot of great things, from 24-hour, dormant security, amenities, which it's a lifestyle, you choose it. So, but do you see, because again, here, luxury condos and houses, the market is on fire. I mean, there's been, I think close to 50 transactions, $10 to $50 million houses in the past 3 months. It's crazy. There's very little inventory even for houses that are 1, 2, 3 million. I think there's opportunity. I strongly actually believe there's opportunity in the condo market. It's doing less well than houses, but there is opportunity right now for those, who are looking to buy and want that lifestyle at every price point. But how is it in Dubai? Is it similar? People are like, we lived in a condo and now we want to move to a house, or?
Yeah, I think, again, it's a very similar pattern. We've observed during the COVID period thus far that, as very early on, it was abundantly clear that people wanted more outside space, more lifestyle-oriented real estate. So we're blessed, as you know, we have a wonderful man-made island that they produce here called the Palm Jumeirah, and we, as Knight Frank and Douglas Elliman, represent some of the most prime properties on the Palm, so the prime villas. And what we witnessed throughout COVID is that those villas were in short supply and in high demand, as you would expect, because everyone wants to be on the beach. You know, you want to literally walk out into your backyard and you are on the beach. Not to, then talk about the amazing views and weather and lifestyle. But to your point, we also have an abundance of condos here. And because of our climate and because of the sort of lifestyle element, people do want that outside space. So I think, look, there's a certain buyer group that clearly went for the prime villas, and they were in very high demand and still are. There's still an abundance of transactions taking place, even during our summer months, which are normally more quiet because people are traveling to Europe, and obviously this year, people were sort of having to look a bit more closer to home. So look, I think the villa market will continue to be buoyant. I think the condo market is going to be really interesting in Dubai over the next sort of 1 to 3 years, because I think the product that's going to be coming through, if it's not already well designed and if thought has not been given to the overall kind of spatial planning and mix of those condos, I think we may see some buildings flourishing and some perhaps being a little bit more sticky to sell.
What are your, so you're working on the Atlantis, if I'm correct, right?
Royal Atlantis, yeah, right. Correct.
Is that, your favorite or the best or one of the best in Dubai? Or what are the top like 3, 4 condos in Dubai? Finish wise, location wise, just lifestyle wise, because as you know, in Dubai and Miami as well, there's an abundance of condo construction nonstop. And, as my role also as a real estate advisor here, I always go preview, as you probably can see when I, on my stories and all these things, I go see the product to see what's good and what's not good. I can't sell something that's not good. I just, and I, here in Miami, there's a few that are exceptional condos, from the architect, the designer, the finishes, everything is top notch. So I can assume that in Dubai, it's similar. Like there's some condos that are not well built, and then there's some condos that are exceptionally done.
Yeah. I mean, you're always going to get a mix in any city. You're going to get developers that have actually taken the time before coming to market or putting a spade in the ground, that they've actually given that consideration to the people that are going to use their buildings and buy their property. And then you're always going to have other developers, that perhaps might just build something that's a little bit more profitable for them in the hope that they're going to attract a certain buyer type, right? I mean, we've been doing this for years and you always see it, and that will continue, for the rest of the time. So I think for me, as you quite rightly say, what we do, authenticity behind what we do is really what sets the good agents apart from the mediocre agents.
100%.
And it would be foolhardy of us at Knight Frank and Douglas Elliman to advise clients on something that we didn't think was necessarily the right fit, or in terms of timing wise, or so there's so many layers, and I would prefer, like you, to say to my clients, I don't necessarily think this is the right scheme for you or the right time, or let's look at other options, rather than rushing into a decision. But look, on the flip side of that, again, going back to the evolution of Dubai, we are fortunate because we do have an abundance of choice. There is a lot of real estate here that has come to the market. So I think, look, I'm not avoiding your question. I'm thinking whilst talking as to what my favorite 3 buildings could be. But look, for sure, the Royal Atlantis is going to be a game changer. And for anyone that follows my social media or, Douglas Elliman's social media, like Frank, the Royal Atlantis always features. We've been fortunate now to be working on the project for a number of years prior to it coming to market as well. And yeah, I don't say it lightly when I say it will be a game changer, because not only does it have a fantastic location, it's on the Palm, where we were talking about earlier. So it has that beachfront living, the views, you know, ocean views, skyline views. So, you know, that's a massive tick in the box, clearly. But equally, the internal landscape of the building is as exceptional as the external.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's almost like we had a crystal ball, because we put so much emphasis on utilizing outside space. So we didn't just build a tower, you know, a glass block with no balconies, terraces, and gardens. So I think that it's going to be really interesting to see the appetite for the Royal Atlantis going forward, because I think that the units, especially that benefit from larger terraces, larger balconies, are going to be in high demand. But then on the flip side of that, you know, I love downtown Dubai, which is more like a mini metropolis. It's where the Burj Khalifa is. It's where the Dubai Mall is. You know, you go there of an evening to go for supper, and it's all the palm trees are lit up, and it's just beautiful. And you've got the Dubai fountains. And so, you know, on the flip side, I love the projects down there. You know, there's some amazing buildings down there. But it's this completely different feel. You know, you've got that city feel. Whereas the Royal Atlantis is more lifestyle and, you know, relaxing and sort of beachfront living. And then there's some other communities that are coming up as well. I mean, one that's already built is another man-made island, because we love those in Dubai.
Of course.
And yeah, exactly. And that's called Jumeirah Bay, and it's a mix of plots that people can build villas on, and they're already constructing. But it's also got a Bulgari hotel that's already operating there, and with that comes residences as well. And it has its own beautiful yacht club. It's stunning. You've got to come and see that when you come over.
2021, I'm going to come to Dubai for sure. I have a last question, because we're running a little short on time, but my last question, which is an important one, and I always ask my guests, because I think it's important that, you know, people see what we do and see, you know, real estate is changing a lot. So my question is, how do you see the real estate industry change over the next 5 to 10 years?
Wow, that's a big question for the last question. Leave the best till last there.
The technology, which obviously is helping us a lot, and not only helping us, but helping our clients. We're being more efficient. We have access to so much data that is great data. You can't just, you know, have a client that goes online. We're advisors, so we help them. So we have that, and then tools to make the transaction faster and smoother. And also, you always say globally connected. How, you know, I always think wherever we are, whether we're in Miami, in Dubai, in London, in LA, that our clients, not only our clients, but our friends, you built up relationships with them, but they also, you know, may have property elsewhere. So you always have to know about the market and connect with the right people, because, you know, say I'm in Miami and I have a client looking for Dubai, you know, I have the right people to connect and advise. So that's an important component that I know a lot of agents anywhere in the world sometimes don't understand and are too local. So what are your thoughts on that? So there's the technology element, and then there's the, I guess, personal branding as well, because it's, again, the agent, there's the agency, and then there's the globally connected. Try to make it short, but yeah.
I mean, look, I can make it short, because you've literally stolen my thunder and said the two things that I was going to say. Look, I think technology, clearly, given the current situation, we've all had to fast forward, you know, 1,000,000 miles an hour to adapt to a new way of working, a new way of communicating. And I think the shift in technology was already speeding things up, but it's been heightened, clearly, because people still need to be connected. People still want information at their fingertips, more so now than ever. So I think technology is going to be a huge driver for all global markets, and the speed at which that sort of accelerates and moves forward. But look, yeah, you stole my line, globally connected. I think I should have trademarked that. I'm sure I probably picked it up from someone at some point. But joking aside, I remember sitting on a panel about a year ago in LA with some of your colleagues in California. And I was asked a very similar question. And I said, everyone has to be a global agent. At the level that we operate, everyone has to be a global agent. If you're working in a localized market and you're selling, you know, $250,000, $500,000 condos, fine, you're localized, whatever. But in the prime and super prime markets, you have to be a global agent. And again, look at us. You're in Miami, I'm in Dubai. Our clients are exactly the same. So we have to be able to adapt and be able to cover multiple markets. So yeah, not to repeat exactly what you just said, but they're the two most important things that I think are going to change our industry going forward.
All right. Well, Maria, thank you so much for being a fantastic guest. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure we finally got to do it. So, you know, thank you for bearing with me and my schedule, but it's such a pleasure, Ben, to talk to you as always.
And, you know, we'll be in touch as usual, whether it's social media or WhatsApp or anything else. And of course, whenever, you know, the situation gets a little better, you know, you can travel to Miami and I can travel to Dubai.
Definitely, definitely. I'll make sure I'm coming out to Miami first and then you come to Dubai.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Thank you so much.
Awesome. No, my pleasure. Look forward to speaking soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks.